Troy here from Local Motors, and I'm looking at the brakes on the Cruiser. So one of the things that we noticed on the prototypes is that they don't stop really well, and there's a couple of reasons behind that. In the front here we have a drum brake. This is a relatively heavy bicycle with the engine, transmission, and everything else. So we're going to be replacing that drum with a larger one. We would normally like to do a disc, but it doesn't match the look of the bike. The other thing is putting a disc brake on a Springer front suspension is problematic because it tends to compress the suspension, so we can't really do that. So we're going to a larger brake up there, which is going to affect our spoke lengths. A few other changes will be required. The back is also kind of tricky, actually trickier. So on the prototypes we have this band brake. The nice thing about it is that it matches the look of the bike. It is an older style of brake. The bad thing is it doesn't really stop the bike or even slow it down very much. So we're trying to do something along the lines of a disc brake. So here's a modern disc brake, and one of the things that's nice is if it's sitting here in front of the sprocket, it wouldn't be too distracting because it kind of gets disguised by the sprocket, but mounting it is a problem. Since we have two chains coming to the back here, this one's the drive chain from the motor, and on the other side we have the chain for the pedals, we run out of mounting points. On a typical rear hub, what you've got is one side is threaded, and this is to take the gear for the freewheel, so that would be on the far side. And then here there's a flange where you can mount a disc brake. So normally it would sit like this. But we're actually using this mounting point to mount the sprocket, which doesn't leave us a place for the brake. So one of the ideas that we had is to go with something like this, which is actually from a pit bike. This is a hydraulic brake caliper, very heavy duty. And we're thinking about using this and acting directly on the sprocket here. So we could mount it in between the chain, and it gives us a nice mounting point with the frame because we're already pretty close. So we could put in a cross member and mount on there. Now the question becomes, the sprocket is typically contaminated with oil or chain lube on here. You can see this where it's a little bit gray, and we don't know how well the brakes will work once they're contaminated with the lube. So that's actually one of the things we're going to test out. As soon as those test mules are done, we're going to put in a special bracket, we're going to put this in, we're going to purposely get it greasy and dirty and gross and see if it can still stop the bike well. I think it will because it will have so much clamping, but that's why we test.